the Bible. Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Come on in. Come on.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With the great escape we
Come
went
on in.
through the Euphrates.
Blessings.
The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. So we be Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Raleigh from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering Israel.
That's right, the Most High's gathering Israel. Elder Rawchaa, the Gathering of Christ Church, here with a weekly update during the time of the Feast of Dedication. The Feast of Dedication, as you can hear, I'm a little under the weather. So, brothers and sisters, I won't be here long at all, okay? A quick update. I know. I should be in the bed, but there's so many things to get out there right now. I thought I would come on for a brief broadcast for you brothers and sisters this evening. Welcome you brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth who follow and bless this gathering of Christ Church. Shalom. I know I should be in the bed, but I had to come on briefly, all right? I had to come on briefly. We have a short week. Thank the brothers and sisters from the West Coast, Arizona, California, Vegas, Seattle, for inviting us there last week to kick off the Feast of Dedications. And we will be, and that's why I need to rest, actually. We will be visiting Detroit this Sabbath to end the Feast of Dedications. Shalom. So I'm going to be getting some rest, but not before this broadcast tonight. There's so many things going on, and I'm going to show you that during this time of year, it's more than a coincidence that the pagans celebrate Thanksgiving. And I'm going to tell you, folks, I know everybody talk about white man this and white man that, and okay. I understand. It's Esau's time to rule. These are the people who are in power. But I'm going to tell you, folks, there's no way Esau could have pulled this off, taken down our people, without those who would betray us amongst the children of Israel. And that's what this time of year, is all about for them. The complicity of our people getting undermined this time of year, which usually ends in massacre, be it our modern day pastors and or politicians. They're totally complicit. I'm talking about the people who look like us, with the straight destruction and demise of our particular people. I thank you, brothers and sisters, who have donated towards the massacre, or what you would call the disaster that happened in Jamaica. Elder God just sent me some pictures from there, and man, it's a shame what they're allowing our brothers and sisters there in Jamaica, what they are allowing them to go through. And I'm talking about areas that are still filled with water, where diseases can creep onto shore and destroy people. They could have been cleaned that up, brothers and sisters. And they are intentionally making it seriously hard for our people there who are trying to hold on. And I believe they're doing this with hopes that our people will just vacate their houses, which will soon be taken over by the industrial complex. But I pray for them, and I thank the brothers and sisters that are holding on. And I thank you all for sending what y'all sent to help. We're going to do what we can, but it's bad. And now that I see how the politicians are betraying our brothers and sisters who are living under disastrous circumstances and continue to do so, like Haiti, like what's going on in Jamaica. Now I understand explicitly. I understand why the last couple of years, or the last decade or so, Judah here in America has been Obamaized. What do I mean by Obamanized? Obamanized is the word. Using a face, a black face, from people someplace else to dictate policy that leads to massacres here amongst our people. I'm going to tell you, it's all in scripture. And it's being celebrated this time of year. And I'm going to tie it all together for you all. Now I'm understanding more so than anything why they've brought in Haitian politicians, Jamaican politicians, and put them into key areas of influence, being Obamanized on the local level, the state level, so that we can be betrayed and destroyed like these same politicians have destroyed their own people in the areas or in the countries they came from. And I'm not pulling no punches. Hence the reason why, even though I'm not feeling too well today, I thought I would come on to show you that there's a common thread between what I'm talking about right now and Thanksgiving. Excuse me. Bear with me. Now I see why Africa cannot rise, why Jamaica cannot rise, why Haiti cannot rise. Now I see. And brothers and sisters, I believe we should have put our eye on this a long time ago, especially here in the Americas. They tricked us. They put Obama in front of us being from someplace else when he couldn't do, him and his father couldn't get Kenya together. So how can that man be in position to represent us? I'm surprised we didn't see this when it was happening. I mean, I think that we were so enamored with seeing a black face, believing that there was some level of representation in high place that would stand for us. See, but I told people from the beginning what it is. You cannot trust these people. So what they did in the United States was what? Obamanized all of the high positions using sleazy politicians from other countries. Every infiltration of our people have happened exactly like that. And I'm going to talk about it in a couple of moments. First and foremost, I would like to say all praises be to the Most High, Ahaya, in the name of Yeshua through the Rawchaa, for another opportunity to come before you, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rawchaa, the Gathered of Christ Church. And here, let's jump right in. Let's jump right in. Before jumping in, I would be amiss if I didn't announce the fact that we are embarking on a new Hebrew and Bible Academy that will begin December 14th, 2025. Okay, December 14th, 2025. The theme will be for the next academy, Hope Beyond 2025. Beyond 2025, Hope After Armageddon. There's so much doom and gloom concerning the end of the world that I thought that in this academy we'll show how Israelites, God's people in Christ, rises through the ashes, regardless of what? The fall of Babylon. We're going to talk about that in the academy. Beyond 2025, Hope After Armageddon. We're going to also touch on some topics, how Israel prepared to leave Egypt, the wilderness, so that our people will get in the mind of becoming pilgrims, to let go if need be when things go wrong in America or any place our people reside. Be ready to trust in the Most High through faith. How Israel prepared to leave Egypt, like we are preparing for the wilderness. How Israelites lost Jerusalem. We're going to go into how our people fell in 70 AD and show you the comparisons to and parallel that to how they're systematically doing the same program to exterminate us in our present time. Ishmael, the Arab nations, the silent enemy of the Israelites, the synagogue of Satan, those who claim they are Jews and are not, have incentivized Arabs to come into our communities to undermine and destroy us. They're working together. And we're going to show you that to why the black and brown coalition is garbage. We should have never allowed these others to come amongst us to claim minority. When the Arabs had a hand, as well as the so-called white man, with enslaving our people. We should have never allowed them to come next to our neighborhoods, in amongst our people as allies. They're nothing more than political Trojan horses. And we're going to expose Ishmael, the enemy amongst our people. Jews. We're going to do an in-depth lesson on the synagogue of Satan. Who is the real Jew in the next academy? Last but not least, artificial intelligence technology and the days of Noah. AI is in the scriptures. It's a sign for the end. It's a sign for the end. AI is in the scriptures. Excuse me. And we're going to talk about that and more in the next Hebrew and Bible Academy. I hope you all enroll. Go to historytimes.org to enroll. historytimes.org. Get in early, and we'll make sure we throw out a few caveats and gifts for the first 20 people who enroll. We're gonna make sure we keep a list of the first 20 enrolled, and we'll make sure we send out some T-shirts or whatever to show our appreciation to those who will become a part of this. All right. Well, thank you, and that's my announcement for the Hebrew and Bible Academy. All right. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. What exactly did they tell us Thanksgiving was all about? Well, we're going to cut the chase. Let's cut the chase. There's nothing new under the sun. This time of year between November and December, which is no coincidence to be a part of or the time of the Feast of Dedication, or what Jewish people call Hanukkah, is when the Gentile nations led by Esau, this is when they politically roll out massacres against the children of Israel. Thanksgiving is a celebration for pagans who have sacrificed the children of Israel. Sometimes I like to get outside media pieces from the outside of America, because America's media is usually dumbed down, censored, and controlled. To be honest with you, I learned this when I was outside the country, that American citizens are the most ill-informed, ignorant people within the world when it comes to geopolitical politics. And it's no fault of the people. It's just that real information is censored from the masses. This is how they control so many people. This is how you can control 300 million people, by keeping them ignorant to what's really going on in the world. Knowing that if the people in America understood, they would stand up against injustices and join together against the industrial satanic complex. So I don't blame our people for being ignorant. We just don't know. Even the Bible states that my people, God said, Hosea 4:6, are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Okay? Are destroyed. Jumping right in. So that's why I thank the Most High who gave us an opportunity to travel through the earth, so I could figure out, first and foremost, to confirm everything in the Bible is true concerning archaeology, history. So you can only convince people in America that the Bible is a fairy tale and that the Bible should be questioned, or whether or not God could be questioned. You can only do that here in America because America is so ignorant when it comes to history, being censored and controlled. But I digress. When you go outside of American censorship, you can read where they're willing to talk about what our people are ignorantly celebrating here in America called Thanksgiving. This piece was published in 2017. Thanksgiving, the annual genocide whitewash. Americans continue celebrating a holiday that whitewashed the mass killing of millions of Native Americans. It so happens these Native Americans were and are from the tribe of Gad, written of in Scripture, the North American Indians. That's what they celebrate in the massacre. Well, this massacre, this time of year, has history, and I'm going to show you. When I was a school child in the United States a couple of short decades ago, I spent time acquiring life skills ranging from how to fake a wrist fracture in order to obtain a purple cast to how to craft a TP replica out of paper bag. The latter was perfected in accordance with the holiday of Thanksgiving. to TP replication required by classmates and to mass produce turkey drawings, paper pilgrim hats, and modified feather headdresses. Right? It's called programming. Social engineering people into accepting massacres. The Western world satanic synagogue of Satan educational system is good for that. These materials were then incorporated into our reenactments of the original Thanksgiving feast. The mythologized gastronomic encounter of 1621 between pilgrims and Native Americans that now serves as a cornerstone of the fairy tale version of U.S. history. Well, on the surface, it may seem that there's not much to criticize about a holiday based on gratitude and eating, especially when it's accompanied by absurd spectacles like the presidential turkey pardon, like we see here. Right? But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What really was it about? Well, by 1637, writes Massachusetts Bay Colony Governor John Winthrop, was proclaiming a thanksgiving for the successful massacre of hundreds of Pequot Indian men. Now, folks, the Pequot Indian were Negroid, black, looking just like me. I have an aunt on my father's side, Aunt Annie, who was from this same tribe. Dark just like me, nose just like I have, and she had long, pretty hair braided in two plaits coming down like this. So what Esau did was he began through time for new children grown out of Gadites or born out of Gadites. The hospitals began to put them on the rolls as Negroid, blacks, so to disconnect them from the land that was stolen from our forefathers here. So Negroids, Judah isn't the only blacks here, folks. There's a lot of us mixed amongst Judah who've been placed under Negroid so that Esau could bring in his own people to steal the land, to continue to steal the land that belonged to the children of Israel, the indigenous people here. The Pequot Indian men, women, and children, a bloody pattern that would repeat itself across the continent between 90 to 95%, 95 to 9.99% of American Indians had been exterminated. Had been exterminated. Bear with me. The work of historian Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz, author of An Indigenous Peoples History of the United States, serves up plenty additional food for thought. Thanksgiving perhaps shouldn't inspire to many warm and fuzzy feelings. See that? Right? That's what's getting celebrated right now, the sacrifice that's usually perpetrated this time of year. Going way back to a time we're celebrating now when they began to massacre our people in Jerusalem in the 2nd century. Hence the reason why we're celebrating the Feast of Dedication this week. Thanksgiving is a way in which the Satanists can steal the spirit and memory of what happened to us as a celebration for sacrifice that benefited them. That's what this is all about. To take all the energy that comes with this time of year, not to celebrate our people, remembering a massacre that was done by them, but for the Gentiles to celebrate and worship the God that allowed them, that have taken on that spirit of sacrificing the children of Israel. That's what it's about. To give their God the honor for sacrificing us, to steal that power that should be with the history that we forgot, that forgotten history that goes way back to the Greeks. Thanksgiving is just a continuation of that same massacre. What am I talking about? Well, let's go into it. I'm going to show you how we tie it into what's going on today. The politicians and the preachers are all complicit with government to push these pagan Hellenistic ideologies that leads to the destruction of God's people each year. This same particular model comes out of ancient Greece by this wicked Edomite by the name of Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus Epiphanes. Now let's talk about it. When you go into the Bible, let's go there. When you go into the Bible, the first Maccabees, the first chapter, and I'm going to show you how it all makes sense to why they have us celebrating Thanksgiving now. Well, they're celebrating the massacre of the North American Indians when the Edomites came here, the same way they set up a massacre during the time of the Maccabees. Same political program that would destroy our people. Lawya is so considerate. He asked, "You sure you want me to come in and preserve your voice?" I'm like, "I got it. Don't worry about it. Thank you, but no thanks. I can handle it. I'm not going to be here long. The Spirit is on me to drop this, and I need to just drop it. All right? Thank you, Lawya." Let's go to the Apocrypha real quick. Let's go there. Antiochus Epiphanes. Now, Antiochus, he died around 164 BC. Right? 164 BC, 2nd century. Well, he was the wicked one, the Antichrist spirit that would set policy for the last empires who would come subsequent or after him. Okay? He would set the policy. So when they talk about an Antichrist, it's not talking about one man popping up at the end. It's talking about an ideology that came from this wicked satanic man that would lead to the total decimation and desolation of God's people. Right? So let's read about it. Let's read about it starting at the 10th verse. And I'm going to show you that there's a connection between this Thanksgiving and the programs they rolled out to actually get our people to take the jabby jab. That there's a connection using the same blueprint. Now, the reason why I'm showing this, so that anybody with their right mind who can put two and two together in the future, they won't fall for their own demise like our people ignorantly did a few years ago when they gave up our people for sacrifice at this same time of year. Let's read it. Let's read it. And there came out of them a wicked root. It's talking about out of Greek. These are Edomites, folks. Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome. Then he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. Okay? Let's go in. In those days went there out of Israel. Look at this. Let me get it. Our people now. In those days went out of Israel wicked men. These are Israelites who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make an agreement, a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So these are your politicians today and your preachers today. They're the ones who will convince the citizenry that it's okay to follow the model of Antiochus Epiphanes, the spirit of Antichrist. Let's show you how they do it. So Esau, Antiochus, could not have accomplished this massacre unless our people politically would be on board to execute and roll out his policy. It's like having an Obama in position. It's like having someone from the AME church who's a Freemason with influence over our people every 4 years, convincing us to vote Democrat and all these others. We don't even realize this is the same game that started with Antiochus. Preachers and politicians, here they are, sellouts. Let's read it. And in those days went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Right? So listen to this. So it was their idea, brothers and sisters. They went to the heathen and say, listen, don't worry about our people pushing back. Give us money and position, and we'll convince them to get on board. We'll convince them to come on board against their God. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so froward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. See? So the enemy didn't have to come in. They would just pay sellouts amongst our people who would sell the people to the government to be destroyed. Nothing new under the sun. So what is the overarching ideology of Antiochus Epiphanes? They went in, convinced our people to stop following God. Therefore, our people were no longer protected by that God, which now allows the Gentiles to come in with their armies to totally pillage and destroy our temple, and even the people who's guarding the temple. That's the plan, right? So let's read it. Antiochus said what? Let me get it. Let me get it here. Let me get it here. Bear with me. Bear with me here, folks. So, going back to Maccabees, the first chapter. So here's the overarching plan that they would like to accomplish. The sellouts as well as the governments. Let me read it. Let me read it here. Listen to this. "36. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, an evil adversary to Israel. Our people in the neighborhoods, in the ghetto, are the Israelites, folks. It's the same plan against our people. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers." Folks, bringing in immigrants. "Kill the people and replace them with people from other places." It happened back then in the 2nd century under Antiochus. The governments of the earth are doing the same thing again. Here's the Antiochus Antichrist plan. You don't have to wait for one Antichrist. The government officials in place are executing the Antichrist plan of Antiochus Epiphanes. You kill the people, and then you replace the people with strangers, and became strange to those that were born her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning like Thanksgiving. Her Sabbaths into the reproach of her honor, into contempt. That means instead of us upholding God's law in the Bible, we would look at those holy days in the Bible as something to hate or to have contempt against, while upholding Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Christmas. Same script. as had her glory, and and so was her honor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. This is why our people are so sad today. We've been destroyed by this same policy. 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Now, if you're going to be down with Greeks or the Romans, then you have to become a Greek or a Roman. You must celebrate the holidays, the holy days of the Greeks and Romans. So when you see Jewish people today claiming they're celebrating Hanukkah, nah, they're not celebrating Hanukkah, folks. We're in the week of Hanukkah, and there's no Jewish people anywhere celebrating it. They're the same Greeks and Romans who are celebrating the massacre of Antiochus Epiphanes under the guise that it's under the Feast of Lights. We're in the week of the feast. The same week they're having Thanksgiving. So here's Antiochus' plan. Everybody must be on one accord to be one people. That means you put politicians in place who push the policies of the government to have the whole world on board, to have their constituencies on board with this satanic program of worshiping the lesser gods. So how do you do it? You set up and incentivize preachers and politicians. The same model we seen back during the time of Antiochus. And where they'll shame you if you decide not to deal with it. They'll try to shame you if you say, no, I want to follow Sabbath. I want to follow God's law. They'll shame you and call you a cult. With what I'm reading here, this is the cult. Right? Moreover, King Antiochus wrote that his kingdom, his whole kingdom, should be one people. And that what? How would they accomplish this? They will accomplish this by doing this. And everyone should leave his laws, the laws written of in the Torah. So all the heathen have agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to this religion, to celebrate pagan days instead of the Lord's high holy days, and sacrifice idols and profane the Sabbath. This model is directly from the playbook of Esau, Antiochus Epiphanes, the spirit of Antichrist. So what does that have to do with Thanksgiving? Well, that massacre that they planned, the massacre they planned for Thanksgiving in 1641 is at the same time they did a massacre against Jerusalem in the 2nd century under Antiochus. And it was to do the same thing. Same plan. To break the North American Indians from the customs of our forefathers that they were actually dealing with before colonization. And to teach the North American Indians to become pagans, to worship the new Roman way, just like our people were persuaded back then to follow the Greek, then Roman way. Hence the reason why you see the influential people amongst our families here in America who initiate themselves into fraternities and pledge to the Greek fraternities. These are Hellenized sellouts who would agree to get in high positions and through their influence and power, convince us to stay under the power of Satan through defying the God of Israel, breaking God's law, and what? At the same time, encouraging our people to uphold their satanic holidays like Thanksgiving. When we celebrate Thanksgiving, we're celebrating the massacre, not just of the North American Indians, but the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, who was massacred in the 2nd century BC. We're in a week where we're celebrating what? Where we begin to fight against that spirit, cleanse the temple, to set our temple up again so our people could worship in spirit and in truth without outside influence. That's what this week is celebrated for. Not to celebrate, to thank God for letting the Gentiles come over and massacre our people. Hold tight. I'm going to tie it into our modern day politicians in one moment.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language.
Right. So jumping right in. So now we understand the model that came through Antiochus Epiphanes to incentivize our people to sell out our God, to open the door for a massacre against God's people. It's deeper than the North American Indians, folks. It's way broader than this. Way broader. All over the earth, they celebrate a massacre against our people at the same time of year. And none of us have put 2 and 2 together. It's not just, they were celebrating massacres of our people at this same time of year before they settled here in the Americas. Right? So let's go into our politicians, our preachers. I said earlier that one of the biggest issues we have in the United States is that we've been Obamanized. What do I mean Obamanized? They tricked us by putting a black face from some other place in high position of influence. And they use that model now all over America to bring in others from other countries who look like us, who had set policy to undermine and destroy us. Why? Because the synagogue of Satan had an issue. The issue is, yes, we the minority, being Judah here in America, but we're the only people being the minority throughout history who stood up against Esau and won. Well, I'll tell you what, the whole economy of the world shuts down if you don't do some get right. We never capitulated. We never compromised. And because of that courage the Most High gave us back, they had to undermine, to take this spirit from us by using others who were already compromised. And it's not to say that all of our politicians who were black, who represented us before the immigration, it's not to say that they weren't compromised to some degree. A lot of them were. But here's the difference. They grew up from amongst us. And they knew that if they did something wrong in those seats, that they and their family, who all of us knew, would have to deal with the consequences of them misrepresenting us. So they still had to do something right to show that they were for us in those compromised positions. Or it was a threat to the family who was within our neighborhoods. You weren't going to use our vote and totally ignore us if we put you in position coming and you lived around us and have suffered the same as we've suffered through Jim Crow, that we've suffered through chattel slavery. These politicians wouldn't have made it. Their families would have been threatened and all of that back then, because we come from a long line of people who know one another and grew up with one another. So Esau seen this, that yes, Judah in America is compromised, but they're compromised to a certain degree. These politicians we're putting in place, they're going to stand for their people at some level. We need to bring in outsiders and put them in position of influence. And they did this. Obama was the model. Being from Kenya. So when they seen how great that worked, they did the do. Brought in strangers like we've just read in the book of Maccabees. Now, the Bible tells us about these leaders. Look at this. The Bible tells us about these leaders. It states about Israel's irresponsible leaders. All ye beasts of the field, come to devour, yea, all ye beasts in the forest. His watchmen are blind. When it says watchmen, it's talking about the politicians whom we trusted, believing that, well, at least they're not Republicans, so these people are in our corner. The watchmen we put in place and say, well, at least we got a black person who can represent and help us. But the Bible says these watchmen are blind. They are ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. That's what the Bible calls them. They are dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Yea, they are greedy dogs. And guess what? Our people, the liberal whites, know the greedy dogs that are amongst us who are willing to sell us out. And they are handpicked for the political and religious positions. I'm going to tell you right now, for decades, they have seen how the politicians of Jamaica, Haiti, Africa have sold out their own people. And they are the majority population there. Esau looked at that and said, you know what? If they sell out their own people to allow for me to stay in power, Esau is saying, the white man is saying, why don't I get a few of them and groom them to do the same thing here in the United States so that they don't have no emotional ties to Judah, who's standing for everyone? Let me put a Haitian in place who all that they're there for is to sell out Judah because they sold out their own people. And I'm calling it out. Because I'm going to tell you, Judah, we aren't like that. Christ was calling out, the Most High was calling out our people. Judah's not like that. If Judah go to Africa, if Judah go to Jamaica, if Judah go to England, where a lot of our Benjamites are, if Judah go to Haiti, you know what we do? We get behind the people. We celebrate their accomplishments. We don't look down on them. We suffer with them. We know their pain. And it drives us to lead our people out of this. We don't come into Jamaica. We don't come into Haiti or Africa and try to change policy and undermine the people there. We're not like that. So I'm going to show you the game of Antiochus Epiphanes so that our people can start looking at what's really going on and hold the tribes of Israel to task. Because the white man could not have done this unless there were some sellouts who was willing to come in and undermine us. But no one pointed out. We were just happy to see a black face in front of us, not knowing who these people were and how they were politically compromised from the countries they came from. So, but no one pointed out the ignorance would continue and our people continue to get destroyed, with them putting a black face in front of us to deceive us. Right? Excuse me. I'm getting over something. See? I'm going to tell y'all, folks, and like I said for years, that's why even Marion Barry, who was in D.C. when I was coming up, the mayor of Washington, D.C., you know why they hated him, why they wanted to call him a crackhead and all that? Because he was in a position standing for our people. Yeah, he was doing drugs, but so was a lot of these politicians are allegedly doing drugs. But you would see Marion Barry, the mayor, in City Hall fighting against these other races of people who were trying to undermine us. Right? One moment. I've seen this, folks. I've seen Milton Street, John Street in Philadelphia, in City Hall, and they were showing it on the news where they were turning over furniture when others try to come in and undermine us, when they was trying to give money to Arabs and all that and cut our people out who championed civil rights. I remember that. The Street brothers, John Street, Milton Street, lived one block from where I grew up. They were like, no Arab's going to come over here and get a part of the civil rights money we went for. He said, no, y'all can stay vendors, but y'all don't have no atrocities on this land. Y'all don't represent us. I remember that. But we've been Obamanized. Right? So they say, listen, we got to get Judah out of the way. The same time Judah is standing up as politicians for his people, you got them on the corner saying that they're the Jews, and eventually they're going to wake up the whole world if we don't switch this up. And no sooner as that happened, the immigration policy through Barack Obama would bring in the replacements that would utterly decimate and destroy the only voice that was standing for God's people in the earth. Esau cannot do this without sellouts. So let's talk about it. So now let's talk about it. Look at this. Let's now view the time of year. Bear with me. Let's deal with the time of year now. Right? When did Antiochus Epiphanes? What time of the year were they planning our massacre of the temple? It was December. Between November and December, folks, is when they roll out their massacres against the temple. Between November and December. Check it out. Right? And which is celebrated Hanukkah when we fought against them 3 years after they destroyed the temple. Right? Now, look at this. 3 years, December. Well, check this out, folks. When did they roll out? When did they roll out the stuff they wanted to give to our people when they shut the whole earth down? When did they roll that out? Look at this. They rolled it out December 8th. Same time of the massacre of Antiochus Epiphanes. You notice we're at the end of the month, November going into December. Same time of year is when they rolled out Operation Warp Speed Summit, where he held the shot's development as a miracle. Right? Right? As he held as a miracle. What else happened? Look. Let me show you. As he held as a miracle. It's the same time. From that, they continued it into January. Right? Hold on, this mouse ain't working. Let me grab it. 1 second. As you can see, it says right here, and it says the first Pfizer Jimmy Jams were granted emergency authorization in December 2020. Let's talk about massacres here, folks. Fair use. Listen to this. Fair use. Fair use. Fair use. Let me get some headphones. 1 moment. Fair use. Fair use. I'm not saying anything. I'm going to let them tell you. Happy holidays, right? Listen to this.
Well, you'd be right, according to ex-Pfizer executive Dr. Michael Yaden. Again, these aren't my words, although I agree with him.
Let's hit it.
How many of you believe there was no pandemic at all? Well, you'd be right, according to ex-Pfizer executive Dr. Michael Yaden. Again, these aren't my words, although I agree with him. Just to be clear, YouTube censors. These are the words of an ex-Pfizer executive who says there was no pandemic at all. Dr. Michael Yaden. Now, he says there's
fair
no
use,
pandemic,
fair use.
and the lie was maintained in order to inject 5.5 billion people with what he says was an intentionally dangerous substance, 17 million of whom have died so far, he says, after having received it. Watch.
There has not been a pandemic. Dennis Rancourt's data shows that the all-cause mortality evidence data did not increase at all in the run-up to the declaration fraudulently by WHO of a pandemic. There is no public health emergency except that created by our governments.
Well, I'm going to leave it there until our Patreon. But why am I going there? Well, let's bring it up to the modern day time of Antiochus Epiphanes. As you can see, a lot of information is coming out that they wouldn't allow us to talk about when it happened. Was this a part of a massacre plan to get rid of our people, only to bring in strangers like we read about in the book of Maccabees? Well, they can only do it if they use our people, who's willing to undermine us. And that leads us to who? The others who came in to undermine us politically. Fair use.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. We continue to bring you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. We do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you regarding a member of Congress. We are learning from South Florida tonight. U.S. Rep. Sheila Sherfless McCormick of Florida has been indicted on charges accusing her of stealing $5 million in federal disaster funds and using some of the money to aid her 2021 campaign, the Justice Department said today. The Democrat is accused of stealing a federal emergency management agency overpayments that her family healthcare company and received through a federally funded COVID-19 vaccination staffing contract, federal prosecutors said. A portion of the money was then funneled to support her campaign.
Hold up now. So where did she get this money from? What did he say? A COVID vaccination project that she would spearhead to get our people in the neighborhoods injected? Did they get someone who was from someplace else in a position to get the citizens of America, black people, vaccinated so that they can financially grandize themselves? Now I see why Haiti, Jamaica, and Africa, they stay in the same state, even though, folks, they're the majority population. Here are their politicians. And I'm glad it's being highlighted right now so our people can start asking questions. Who's out there seeking and who are joining themselves with the enemy in an effort to massacre our people? Let's hear it again.
See overpayments that her family healthcare company and received through a federally funded COVID-19 vaccination staffing contract, federal prosecutors said. A portion of the money was then funneled to support her.
Hold up. He said a COVID-19 vaccination staffing project, which means her company, her being a representative, created a company that would staff people to convince and go out and convince and initiate our people getting vaccinated in the areas she represented. She put in the contract for a money grab. And now they're throwing her to the wolves because guess what? Mission accomplished. They don't need her anymore. They accomplished it. Look at all the people we lost during that so-called pandemic of our loved ones. Not realizing it was people from others who had contracts who was willing to financially aggrandize themselves off of the death of our people like they would do in Haiti, Jamaica, and Africa. I hope y'all see this. We calling it out. Since they don't want to call it out, we're calling it out.
Campaign through candidate contributions, prosecutors allege. Using disaster relief funds for self-enrichment is a particularly selfish, cynical crime, the Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a statement. No one is above the law, least of all powerful people who rob taxpayers for personal gain. We will follow through the facts in this case and deliver justice. A phone message left at McCormick's Washington office was not immediately returned. But again, we will be keeping an eye on this for you right here on Live Now from Fox. You saw the report there from the New York Post there as the Democratic Florida lawmaker that has been indicted. Bill Malugin, our very own Bill Malugin of Fox News, saying this.
Let's slow walk this. Breaking Department of Justice. Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilis McCormick. This is a Levite that they put in position in Florida with stealing $5 million in FEMA funds, laundering the proceeds, and then using the money to support her 2021 congressional campaign so that now she can get more grubby finances, using a political position that she had nothing to do with. There's no blood in the ground for her in this country. So that she can sell our people out. Our people better wake up. And I know a lot of Levites who would never act as such. But Esau understand what people to pick from amongst every nation our people are under to keep the Israelite population, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, under control. And I told y'all years ago, they're going to throw all of their sellouts under the bus. I told you. They knew what she was doing. She wasn't doing anything other than what those white liberals was directing her because they was doing it. Why do you think Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres and others have left the country? She was doing the same thing she's seen these white liberals doing, but they're going to throw her under the bus. And you know what? Good for her. Good. She get everything she deserves. That's right. You lay down with dogs, you get fleas. There should be no support for how she betrayed. And now through this, we've lost many of our riders who would stand for our people in the last days because of sellouts like this. Straight up. Let's hear it again. We're going to hear the whole thing out. Fair use.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. We continue to bring you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. We do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you regarding a member of Congress. We are learning from South Florida tonight. U.S.
Oh, yeah, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'll be good. I'll be good before I leave for December. I got some tea here, but listen. Right now, I'm a little under the weather, but I had to come out because this was really burning me on this so-called Thanksgiving to see that the same time of year, they had another massacre planned against our people using sellouts like it was during Antiochus Epiphanes. I'm here to show people how they do it, what they utilize. A black face, and we got to start asking, where do these people come from? And if they was beneficial as politicians or preachers or whatever the case is, why couldn't they benefit the people they came out of and the countries they came from? They sneak in up under us, acting like us, to undermine and to kill the only voice who would stand for even her people. Hope our people wake up, man. Fair use.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. We continue to bring you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. We do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you regarding a member of Congress. We are learning from South Florida tonight. U.S. Rep. Sheila Sherfullis McCormick of Florida has been indicted on charges accusing her of stealing $5 million in federal disaster funds and using some of the money to aid her 2021 campaign, the Justice Department said today. The Democrat is accused of stealing a federal emergency management agency overpayments that her family healthcare company and received through a federally funded COVID-19 vaccination staffing contract, federal prosecutors said. A portion of the money was then funneled to support her campaign through candidate contributions, prosecutors allege. Using disaster relief funds for self-enrichment is a particularly selfish, cynical crime, the Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a statement. No one is above the law, least of all powerful people who rob taxpayers for personal gain. We will follow through the facts in this case and deliver justice. A phone message left at McCormick's Washington office was not immediately returned. But again, we will be keeping an eye on this for you right here on Live Now from Fox. You saw the report there from the New York Post there as the Democratic Florida lawmaker that has been indicted. Bill Malugin, our very own Bill Malugin of Fox News, saying this on X with the breaker. DOJ charges Congresswoman Sheila Sherfullis McCormick, a Democrat from Florida, with stealing $5 million in FEMA funds, laundering the proceeds, and then using the money to support her 2021 congressional campaign. She faces up to 53 years in prison if convicted. So we will be keeping an eye on this for you. Bill Malugin then puts on X as well. According to the indictment, DOJ says Sherfullis McCormick, who's 46, and her brother Edwin Sherfullis, 51, both of Miramar, worked through their family health care company on a FEMA-funded COVID-19 vaccination staffing contract back in 2021. In July of that year, the company received an overpayment of $5 million in FEMA funds. So that indictment just coming down by a DOJ earlier today. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, again, is saying in a statement, no one is above the law, least of all powerful people who rob taxpayers for personal gain. We will follow the facts in this case and deliver justice. No reminder.
That's what you get for selling out God's people. We're coming near the end. None of them gets away now. They don't realize this woman and others are complicit with the massacre of our people. It was a ritual to celebrate the destruction of our people at the same time between mid-November and December, like they did during the time of the Greeks when they destroyed our temple and brought in strangers. Well, it's people like this who's used, they bring from other places to destroy us politically, to get rid of us, put them in the healthcare system and all that to get rid of us so that the replacements can come in and destroy our children. And the Bible talks about people like this. And I'm glad we are waking up. We should have been understood the Obama model was to undermine any people who would stand for God's people at the very end. Bringing in a person from somewhere else to undermine us, not understanding our struggle and everything we did to fight for justice, not just for us here, but for our people everywhere. Same massacre, a different tactic. And what is the plan? Let's get it again. And then I'll open up the lines. The plan is written in the book of Maccabees, out of the Bible. Another reason why they don't want you reading the Apocrypha. Maccabees 1 and 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, Edomite, who had been a hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year, of the kingdom of the Greeks. Right? Then it says, here's your politicians. This is why Africa, Jamaica, and all the countries cannot rise against injustices, because they always have a sellout in position that they would incentivize themselves to keep their own people poor. And that's the model they try to use against us. They couldn't use that model here in the United States initially, because all of us came out of chattel slavery together and we were sticking together during segregation. So there's going to be a politician, he was going to represent us, with us being the minority. If all of us wasn't lockstep together to protect each other being the minority, Judah would have become what? Extinct in the United States. So the preachers and politicians had to stand together here in America. So they say, what we going to do? Well, we can't get rid of Judah because they stick together under the atrocities that we've done against them in slavery. Let's bring in Haitians, politician families who's used to compromising their people where they come from, and have them represent and undermine Judah here in America. And then after that, after they help us get rid of Judah, then we'll just get rid of them. Here's your politicians and preachers who are nothing more than what? These people are factions with the Democrat Party. That's all they are. In those days, went out there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Well, they say, listen, why should we suffer with our people? Let's just go in and work against our people. At least Master will have us in the big house. Right? And then we go all the way down. It reads, the plan. The plan here, it says, amongst them, let me read it. It says, 38. insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. They're killing us like they did North American Indians. They did it with that operation years ago, using substances this time instead of a gun. And it says here, and the city was made a habitation of strangers. You killing the people who would fight for what's right according to God, only to replace them with strangers, immigrants. Her sanctuary also was laid waste like wilderness. Her feast was turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. As been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. This is where you get the spirit of thanksgiving since ancient times, to destroy our people every year around November, December, to celebrate the massacre of Jerusalem. They're just doing it differently under Thanksgiving today by celebrating the destruction of the North American Indians. Using our people to push the death program from amongst us. Why? Because we trust them. We think these people are for us. When God told us in the Bible to be wary, that's right, to understand about these leaders Esau would put in position over us. Politicians and preachers. 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote this to his whole kingdom, that all should be one. These people scared us and scared our parents and all of that, separated our families, having all of these contracts and all of that to make sure our people get the shots, folks. They use our people to do this. That was from someplace else. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to this commandment. So they decided not to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments in the Bible, and to follow the holidays set up by Esau, the white man. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed idols and profaned the Sabbath. Starting how many of you knew that Thanksgiving and all of that was connected to the massacre of our people, going all the way back to the 2nd century BC, where the Romans and the Gentiles celebrate a massacre in the thousands against our people from one year to year, 1 year to each year. These are the Holocausts the world should be talking about. And none of this would be possible if Esau couldn't use our people, a trusted face that would convince our people into the sacrifice and or massacre. What say you? It's not just about the North American Indians. It's a celebration this time of year where the Gentiles celebrate the destruction of God's people in number, in large number, in remembrance of the Antichrist spirit, Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus Epiphanes. Right? Same time of year, there was a massacre. Usually between mid-November and December is the massacre. What did Antiochus do? Desecration included an altar to Zeus. Jesus is Jesus. It's Zeus. Jesus is Jesus. Christ's name wasn't and isn't Jesus. Including an altar to Jesus and sacrifice of a pig on the altar. When did they do this? In December. Between November and the first week of December is their celebration of massacring our people. Same thing they did during the time of Thanksgiving. And then look what they rolled out in December 2020. Pfizer and Moderna were granted emergency authorization in December 2020. Who helped them roll this out and got paid to do it? Let me show you. The wicked leaders who would sell out their own country. So you know they don't care about nothing getting paid in position to sell us out. Happy Thanksgiving. And the Gentiles are laughing because we're the turkey that's getting stuffed. What say you all? I'll open it up for the next 30 minutes for those who would like to come in through Zoom, or you can text 445-888-2759. I do apologize. I'm under the weather. That's why we did a quick broadcast, poignant, to the point, to know not who to trust. The only way we get through this is to do what the Maccabean brothers did. We must align ourselves with God, follow the commandments, and understand that there is no help outside of our God and each other. These pagan churches, they're enemies of God. They're enemies against our people. Same as the politicians. I apologize. I'm a little under the weather, but I had to pull this out today. And I want to announce that I will be ready this coming Saturday as we end the feast of dedication in Detroit this coming Saturday. I can't wait to see you all. And I'm going to preserve my voice unto then, up until that time. For those who like to come in and have anything to say, if you have an opinion on what we talked about tonight, now is your opportunity to talk. Come in through Zoom, or you can text 445-888-2759, and I'll bring you in through the phone if you have something to say on this particular topic. I won't be long because I have to rest. We appreciate you all too. So it wasn't no coincidence that Operation Warp Speed to get the shots out during COVID and all that was during December. It's no coincidence that all of our politicians, especially those who had contracts who came from other countries, were incentivized to get our people to take the stuff. This is how their politicians would operate in Haiti. I'm looking at what's going on in Jamaica now, where the people are suffering. And now God, you're called to get the stuff sent to the people that are suffering. And the politicians and others are in position saying, well, no, we can make money off of this. Let's get it and sell it to our own people instead of just giving it to them. And these are the losers that have come over here and was placed in high political positions in our neighborhoods. When is our people going to wake up? 445-888-2759. For those who like to text, I'm only going to be in for a little bit, and then I'm going to go lay down, okay? Eat me some soup, drink some tea, and pack up and get my body ready for what's to come this coming Sabbath. Okay, we have Elder Rawchaa. Shalom. How you doing, Elder Rawchaa?
Hey, Shalom. Let me pause this real quick. How are you doing, Elder?
I'm a little under the weather, but I'm really at the back end of it. The worst night I had was last night. But, I'm really still on the high coming from California and all that. I wish I was there, but it was such a great time there. And I felt myself coming down with something early in the week, but there was no way that I would miss that dedication over in California. But, hey, we must fight to the end. And, hey, ain't nothing but a little cold I can get through.
Oh, praise. Yeah, look, y'all had a great time. I was watching it, man. It looked immaculate.
Man, it was off the chains. It was off the chains. But what say you?
Well, just real quick, couple precepts here, and then I'm gonna jump off. I find it very interesting this term they've given this week. Do we know it's the Feast of Dedication? According to the Bible, they call it Thanksgiving. We could go to 1 Maccabees chapter 4.
Okay, let me get it. Hold on.
All right.
And I'm going to bring you in side by side so they can see you.
Okay.
All right. Let me bring you in. Hold on. Hold tight. Bear with me, y'all. I have that. And last but not least, let me bring you in through the Bible. Right. I have you there. Bear with me, folks. This mouse is the worst. All right, I'm sorry about that. Now, okay, let's bring him in. Shalom, how you doing?
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Okay, I brought you in real quick, and you was mentioning what you're saying?
Yes, just a couple precepts in the 1 Maccabees chapter 4.
Maccabees chapter 4. Let's get it.
And verse 24.
All right, I'll read it. You can break it down. A matter of fact, to preserve my voice, you can read it and break it down. How about that?
All right. Yes, sir.
4 verse 24. Read it.
It says, after this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised the Lord in heaven because it is good, because his mercy endureth forever.
Look at that.
And if we could drop down to verse 33.
So we should be celebrating this for Thanksgiving instead of the massacre that's trying to cover the true Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
This is really the true Thanksgiving, the feast of dedication that the children of Israel should be celebrating. But what's next?
Verse 33.
You said 33?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm at the 33rd verse. Go on.
Cast them down with the sword of them that love thee, and that all those that know thy name praise thee with thanksgiving. So just like you were saying, it's very interesting that they would call this week Thanksgiving when we find it in the scriptures in dedication, they called it Thanksgiving.
Exactly. So this is the Thanksgiving we should be following instead of celebrating the massacre that came with this during this time of year that celebrated the death of our people.
Exactly.
What is the modus operandi of Antiochus, the Antichrist spirit? Is to, one, get our people to sell us out and get a license, and they'll get license and money to now do whatever the government persuades them to do with getting our people on board for the desolation or sacrifice. They get paid, and in turn, the government get a sacrifice. Us, like the politicians were all in our neighborhood scaring us and telling us, go get this shot and all this other stuff. And guess what? The nurses and the politicians were making hands over fists. And guess what? The majority of them, when you look at it, and Trump is bringing it out now. The majority of them that was getting the contracts were what? Minority politicians who were from Africa or the Caribbean. They were coming in with the contracts and putting their own people down for nurses and all that. Not that our people weren't complicit, but there was a higher number of people bringing in their own people for nurses, care, and all of that for the money grab from the politicians down from the doctors and nurses who was convincing our people to get it.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you see what's happening now with the nurses, but Trump just recently changed the profession of nurses to where it's no longer considered to be like a profession. I don't know exactly how they're labeling it.
I can tell you what it is. What's going on is he's taken the power of the credentials from all of those masters and degrees when it comes to those licenses. Why? Because they only needed them to have that authority and credentials when they were rolling out, because they knew they was going to one day roll out the vaccine. Mm-hmm. So the masters and the nurses, they wanted to really incentivize them to roll this out because they had one time to get this and get it done. Now that they've getting rid of the majority of our people who are now killed because of this decision and have been replaced by Asians and East Indians, they don't need the master degrees and the nurses no more.
Exactly.
So now what they're doing is downgrading all those areas because they don't need those professions. There have been a reboot, a reset for the healthcare system where our people, including white nurses in America, aren't a part of the next stage in this particular reset, leading to the mark of the beast. So all those masters, the master degrees, they mean nothing. They're dirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they ever meant anything before, they surely don't mean anything now. But how diabolical to use them, and now that they've been used for their, agenda, now get rid of them, and now here comes the AI to do the full replacement, and so now they're no longer needed. So
it's no coincidence. This whole year was a war on the Western woman who was complicit with taking down men. The whole ideology of feminism, which is nothing but lesbian language from man haters who would destroy the image of God, who is man. And it doesn't matter if you like man or not. That's who God set up as his image. So this is not about whether or not, because of this, because of that, who cares? Without men, no infrastructures are built. There's no protection. There is no phones that we celebrate the communication with. There is no internet. There is no army. There is no family. There is no seed to bring forth nations. So this year was a war on feminism. They don't need it anymore. It's a reset. Mm-hmm. They have what? They have accomplished their mission in destroying the black family. See, Miss Ann, she don't care about it because she know that she can play both sides of the fence. At the end of the day, she going to be taken in and protected anyway. So the only people that's really going to suffer from this are our women who bought into Miss Ann with the lesbian language. That's who's going to suffer from this now. Because there is no coming back from such a destruction. We just have to live this out now. Hence the reason the Bible stated in Isaiah the 7th chapter, in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, listen, I'll eat my own bread. You don't got to buy my clothes. Protect me. It's a shame me being out here without a man, without no covering. And it's happening right under our noses, right now. All those degrees, trash. And guess what Esau going to do? Same with these white crazy libtards. Guess what else he's going to do? He's going to say you still got to pay the debt for him. Now what? You don't want to have our babies. This is why the white man is like, listen, you ain't going to run around and just shame me before the world when there will be no such thing as feminism if Esau didn't give you an army to protect yourself through it. Everything they gave the woman was enforced by law through violence, which means if you come against a woman who's out of the pocket, who's disagreeable, who's doing all that, she had 911 on speed dial. And she could what? She can reinforce her non-cooperative spirit through violence using government. So you can't even have feminism unless it's enforced by men. So Esau like, nah, my women he said, my women have given me their behind a kiss. I set up feminism to leverage against black people. Not for them, not for my women to now grow up and desire black men when our birth rates are tanking. So the white man is like, hell with this. We're going to take everything from our woman and she's going to have to get back in the kitchen and cook. Esau isn't playing because Esau is about survival. That's what he's about. He don't care about your feelings. Like I gave y'all degrees and made y'all minorities so that you can cut in money that's supposed to go to black people to embolden our side, the white side. Not for you to join ranks with black men and have their children and birth us out of existence. So the white man said, listen, I'll tell you what, as soon as Trump got in position, let's fire all these federal jobs and give it to who? The immigrants who's going to appreciate us, the Indians, not the black immigrants. We're going to throw the black immigrants to the wolves because we no longer need them. They've totally undermined their own people, and we're going to throw them amongst their own people and see how they're going to fare with no protection that's coming from our government. After the black people realize these same politicians have betrayed them, I'm going to throw them back to the black people to be torn apart. Like that so-called U.S. representative now who stole money and used her position to get our people shot with the vaccine. So Esau's like, you know what? I'm going to they're telling the white woman, listen, you have to crawl back. I had these white men online calling their own women mud sharks and everything else. I'm cracking up. I'm laughing. I don't take it as an insult. Okay? What you did is what you did. Y'all know Judah and the black man is the most desired man on earth. They always knew that. So it was up to you not to bring them amongst us to undermine, because there was a risk that you was going to lose your own women who would seek to birth black children and not white children. You know what that is? That's invisible justice. Without one weapon, you're being birthed out of existence. So Esau is saying, I'll tell you what, I'm going to strip all the authority I gave the woman. I thought the white man was behind feminism. On top of that, now when the cops come to the houses, they're looking to arrest the women first now. I don't think y'all see this. There's a war on the woman. And I'm going to tell you this. The hand of God is in it. Oh, you don't want to submit? Let's see if you would submit by the time these strangers come in that are whacked out of their minds from these other countries and begin to get on these social media platforms with you and Snapchat you and Instagram you, and then you end up in a box somewhere thrown into a river like we're witnessing right now. Being found dismembered. You don't want to submit? Okay. And now the corporate world is saying, well, no, we don't want you either. So this whole year was Esau saying, you know what? We can't use the woman, feminism, and LGBTQ no more. That's it. That's it. And it's about to get wild. Brother, it's about to get wild. Brothers better be careful out there. I'm going to tell you, people are going to be desperate. And if you want to talk about desperation, there's nothing more dangerous than dangerous women who have nothing to lose. Brothers are going to be getting set up in all of that. Robbed, killed, all of that. I'm going to tell you, it's about to get crazy. And they was talking about defund the police. The abuse is going to go up. I'm going to tell you where it's going, Ramar. You know why a lot of our women was going out with lesbians? Because these lesbians had all the federal jobs, the social jobs, and all the degrees. So they had an alternative outside of cooperating with their man. But now that the lesbians have lost their paycheck, it's going to get crazy because our women, they'd be like, I wasn't with you because I was attracted to women. You was bringing a paycheck. So they're going to be like, I don't want this. And these lesbians are going to be orphan women in high number. Remember what I'm telling you here. They're going to be orphan women. That's where this is going. It's going to be crazy out here. And men are like, you know what? Nah, men are saying, and I'm listening to it. I'm hearing my son. I'm hearing what people, men are saying, listen, we good. We good. We try to tell you that at any time, Uncle Sam can throw you back to the wolves. And they did everything to have our women just totally sever any level of relationship that we could have together. Using the courts and using all of that to make it where men are now totally scorned. Saying, well, listen, it's a bad deal. I'm good. So it's going to be crazy deaths out here. Women are going to be selling their bodies for almost nothing. Women are going to be setting people up. Money's drying up. So people ain't going to be going to these clubs and spending money for these women. Ain't no money for it anymore. We're in a different economy. The lesbian. Go ahead. What you have to say? Go ahead.
They said the clubs now, not just the regular strip clubs, but the clubs in general now are pretty much phasing out because women get in for free, and women don't pay for the drinks. Men pay, and men pay for women's drinks, but men aren't showing up to these clubs anymore. So they said the whole club economy is shutting down.
Yeah, I see it. It's Isaiah the 4th chapter in the first verse. It's Isaiah 4. I'm seeing it. It's Isaiah the 3rd chapter all the way down to the 4th chapter. It's about to get wild. I told everyone, keep your eyes on 2026. Thank you, Bishop Baruch. Thank you. Keep your eyes on 2026. The script have been totally flipped. I'm hearing things out there where they're calling men sassy. Men ain't sassy. Men like, well, nah. Men ain't putting money up for a bad deal. You have to be a good person. You have to have value. You have to value yourself. You have to be a daughter of Sarah and repent and apologize. And apologize for siding with the enemy and saying that you didn't need the men God made for you. It's going to get crazy, folks. Men out there, y'all better be careful. Sisters, you better be careful. I'm going to tell you, a woman who feared the Most High, who's willing to submit, she don't got nothing to worry about because she was always had a covering. And if this was any other normal circumstance, I would be like, you know what? It's not a big deal. But Elder Rawchaa, what we're living under right now, we here in America never experienced. We never experienced an influx, of strangers coming in from everywhere, living right next door to our people, who has an entirely different ideology or idea of community. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about they'll look at a little girl where they come from, having a little girl just walking up and down the street with nobody around. That's a no-go. That child is waiting to get snatched. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be talking about it this Friday early about how a lot of these countries, a lot of these poor people in these countries, they make their extra hustle not by vending, not by selling hot dogs and all this stuff. They make their extra money if they can get a bum or someone with organs to be sold to the highest bidder. It's normal for them that come from these third world countries to have an enemy that they scope out to make a deal with the with the black market to sell organs. So we're going to talk about masculine. I'm going to tell you, it's about to get real. It's about to get real. Anything else?
I was going to chime in real quick. The broadcast was going in, what you're bringing out. So I said, let me bring these couple of precepts in. The real Thanksgiving, the Feast of Dedication. Many blessings, Elder. Be keeping you in prayer for speedily healing and recovery. And shalom.
Shalom. Thank you, my brother. Yeah, it's real. We don't got to wait for it to get real. Hey, Esau done took all the money away. And then he said the degrees away. And then say you got to pay that debt. And they're taking the police protection away. All the social programs and all that was being ran by the lesbian community. They have lost their power. Trump took it from them. Why do you think Rosie O'Donnell, Ellen DeGeneres, and all these people left the country? They knew that they were going to get indicted too. They're taking the police protection away. All the social programs and all that. All right. We had somebody else who was in waiting. I'm about to break down. If somebody else want to come in, now's the opportunity before we break down for this evening. Come on in. Now is your opportunity. Excuse me. Come on in. It's about to be a change. The change is going to come. The change is here. All right, I'm about to call in those real quick. 916 area code, I'm about to bring you in. I'm about to bring you in. 916 area code, I'm about to bring you in. It's about to get real. Prophecy is unfolding. And guess what? Hey, there's no better place to be than right here, folks. Come on in. Come on, you have something to say? The floor is yours. Yes, Tiffany, how are you?
This is Thomas.
Okay, Thomas, how can I help you today?
Yeah, I sent the text. I don't know if you got it, but basically it's on the jab. I was wondering why everyone didn't get it that took it, and was it maybe a time release thing?
Well, YouTube won't allow us to talk about that in depth, but
Okay.
but there is a video out there that you go to redacted. Go to redacted, that particular page, and type in COVID-19, and you'll see that doctor that was from Pfizer. He's gonna give you some insight on that.
Okay, that was it.
But it's confirming along the lines what you are suspecting right now. All right?
Okay, shalom.
Shalom. That's why I said hell to the no, no, no. You ain't shooting me with nothing. Thank you.
All right.
That's against my God. The Bible talks about at the end time, John seeing something stinging the people like a scorpion. What do you think that is? Where the people was having a serious low quality of life for 5-6 months, but didn't suffer their bodies be put in graves. They were damaged. They was damaged. That's what John was seeing in the book of Revelations, being stung by something where it was making everybody sick. Y'all better wake up. Like, I wish somebody would talk about giving a child something like that. We have awakened now. Save it for the elites and their families. Since it's good, we'll take the risk. Give it to all the elites and their families to take. And we'll take the risk for it. All right? Someone says, is there a reason why it affected some but not all? There's a thing called placebos. Placebos doesn't have the same stuff in it. You got to have some people who took it who could swear by it. If people were falling out at an 80, 90% clip, then it would be no question what was actually negatively affecting people. But if you can ration it out where there's a certain percentage where you're skeptical, but still you cannot, connect the dots, then that's a safe number where it still leave that area of ambiguity. So some people had a placebo where nothing at all. So they have somebody out there vouching for it. Look up placebo. All right. Let's see here. All right, so that concludes the broadcast for tonight. Everyone understand what's going on with the Thanksgiving. We're in the Feast of Dedication, which is a real Thanksgiving, but really they got everyone celebrating our massacre. That started off with who? That started off with our sellouts during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes in the 2nd century, selling our people out to the government. Like you have politicians who've come from other countries to represent us in America, like Haiti and all of that, so that they can get contracts to get rid of us for the replacements. For those who missed it, I have one more announcement, but I want to put this out there last but not least, so that we understand not to trust the politicians or the pastors who are a wing of the Democrat Party going forward. The world, America, was tricked. America has been Obamanized. Trusting these people who are from someplace else who couldn't even help the place they came from. Fair use. They're only here to get paid and undermine us, to get rich at the expense of destroying God's people.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. We continue to bring you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. We do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you regarding a member of Congress. We are learning from South Florida tonight. U.S. Rep. Sheila Sherfless-McCormick of Florida has been indicted on charges accusing her of stealing $5 million in federal disaster funds and using some of the money to aid her 2021 campaign, the Justice Department said today. The Democrat is accused of stealing a federal emergency management agency overpayments that her family healthcare company and received through a federally funded COVID-19 vaccination staffing contract.
A federally funded COVID-19 staffing contract. Got in position and see where the money was going during that year and said that she would put the staff together and initiate Project Warp Speed to get our people in America vaccinated. A person from someplace else got herself in position to undermine our people here. And this is why these countries they come from stay in the state they are in. Here's their politicians. And this is the trick they used on us. Made us believe these people were for us. The Demtards, the white liberals, strategically handpick people from other countries who have resentment against Judah here in America and put them in position and pay them and place them in schools. That's why our children weren't learning. And we never really focused on who is these teachers in our neighborhoods that isn't taking a vested interest in educating our young boys. We never looked at the nurses who were coming in our communities. We've been Obamanized on every level.
Sherfless-McCormick of Florida has been indicted on charges accusing her of stealing $5 million in federal disaster funds and using some of the money to aid her 2021 campaign, the Justice Department said today. The Democrat is accused of stealing a federal emergency management agency overpayments that her family healthcare company and received through a federally funded COVID-19 vaccination staffing contract, federal prosecutors said. A portion of the money was then funneled to support her campaign through candidate contributions, prosecutors allege. Using disaster relief funds for self-enrichment is a particularly cynical crime, the Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a statement. No one is above the law, least of all powerful people who rob taxpayers for personal gain. We will follow through the facts in this case and deliver justice. A phone message left at McCormick's Washington office was not immediately returned, but again, we will be keeping an eye on this.
She need to get exactly what let me tell you, whatever the deepest penalty is for this particular embezzlement, we're behind it 100%. Put her next door to put her in the next cage next to Diddy if you want to.
For you right here on Live Down from Fox, you saw the report there from the New York Post there as the Democratic Florida lawmaker that has been indicted. Bill Malugin, our very own Bill Malugin of Fox News, saying this on X with the breaker. DOJ charges Congresswoman Sheila Sherfless McCormick, a Democrat from Florida, with stealing $5 million in FEMA funds, laundering the proceeds, and then using the money to support her 2021.
And here's the deep thing about it. Come over here and scam, and then all the negative is shaded, is pointed our way because they have the same color we have. Putting all this dark negative on us. And like I said earlier, we can't go to Haiti and dictate legislation there and pass laws that would harm Haitians. Neither would we think to do that as Judah. We wouldn't do this in Africa.
Executive order called Ending Crime and Disorder on America's Streets.
Shut up. All these scam calls coming in. It's probably a lot of them scamming. These scam calls. I'm done with it already. We can't go into Africa and undermine them politically and steal money that would go to their children, only to align ourselves with the enemy. And they, guess what? They couldn't pay Judah to do that. They know that Judah wouldn't do that. Our people better look up. That's why they try to get Kamami to come up in here from Jamaica somewhere.
Congressional campaign. She faces up to 53 years in prison if convicted. So
only 53? You know how many people are possibly dead because of her initiative?
We will be keeping an eye on this for you. Bill Malugin then puts on X as well. According to the indictment, DOJ says Sherfless McCormick, who's 46, and her brother, Edwin Sherfless, 51, both of Miramar, worked through their family health care company.
Look at that. Her and her scamming brother set up a company to embezzle money through and started sending it to different parts of her family members to donate to her campaign so that she can get more money later, sitting in office as if she's representing our people. That's why the Bible calls these people in Isaiah greedy dogs.
On a FEMA-funded COVID-19 vaccination staffing contract back in 2021. In July of that year, the company received an overpayment of $5 million in FEMA funds. So that indictment just coming down by a deal.
And it's a shame that all this negative stuff is placed on our sisters here. All the negative that come from sellouts like this, it falls on our sisters who wouldn't do this. Our people better wake up out there.
OJ earlier today The Attorney General Pam Bondi again is saying in a statement, no one is above the law, least of all powerful people who rob taxpayers for personal gain. We will follow the facts in this case and deliver justice.
Hey, guess what? It's okay. Right? Everybody was looking at, and guess what? I don't agree with him. P. Diddy, what he did with, they was holding this blackmail video of what happened in the hallway 10 years ago to frame him federally and put him in jail. Okay, he's doing his time. What she did, are more lives affected with what she did in comparison to Sean Combs? I don't hear the same outrage. Why? Why? Where's the same outrage? Oh, because it's not a man? We better wake up, folks. Don't trust none of them. And I'm glad what's going on is happening. All the sellouts are getting their what? Come upness. And may the Most High be behind the judgment. Before I go, I would like to make an announcement. Beyond 2025 is the next academy, which begins Sunday, December 14th. Why understanding Armageddon's purpose is key to hope, dispelling common misconceptions and total annihilation. Well, we're going to go into the explicit promise of a new heaven and a new earth. The absence of tears, pain, and death. Literal promise what daily life could look like in a perfectly restored world. The promise of harmony, abundance, and direct contact with God is what will be taught in our next academy, Beyond 2025, a hope beyond Armageddon. Enroll. Go to historytimes.org. I'm Elder Rawchaa. I'm about to go to sleep. Take some black seed oil first. Eat some soup. And thank the Most High for the real Thanksgiving, the Feast of Dedications. Sellouts everywhere, repent. The hand of God is now against you. historytimes.org to enroll. I see you in a few days if it be the Most High's will for Patreon, for our Lawya Patreonies. Go to historytimes.org to enroll in the next academy, 2 weeks of enrollment. We're going to give out gifts for those who are part of it. With that, stay prayed up, sin not. We will soon see Israel. And that's right. We are the children of Israel. Yes. And we are back. Happy, blessed Thanksgiving. And for those that are dealing with, that's right, the jive turkey tomorrow, down with your God. Blessings. I think I just showed my age right there. Jive turkey.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. the 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be. Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Bali from the islands of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us
At gunpoint.
together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Asher in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans, our highest gathering is right now. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, our highest gathering is right now. Asher in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Bali from the islands of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering.